Well, it's Sunday again, and you know what that means. Another trip to the flea markets. Look at this dumb motherfucker jog for about 4 feet just so he can be ahead of everyone else. There's like 3 or 4 people who do this constantly, and the ironic part about it is that we've never seen them buy anything. I don't get it, but whatever, let's see if we can find some deals. First thing I come across is this guy selling a bunch of his son's games. Bit of everything, including an Alex Kidd Sega Master System game that I didn't get on film. It was $10 and in really good shape. I heavily debated on buying it since the game in this kind of shape is worth 3 to 4 times as much as he wanted. But I don't know, I don't have the system and I don't know if I ever will since it's not something I'm actually hunting for. And I felt like if I did buy it, I would just wind up reselling it, and I really hate selling games on eBay. I've had 3 or 4 really bad experiences that I may talk about one day. I did end up snagging that Metal Dungeon game as well as some weird looking puzzle game for the GameCube. This is one of those baseball pinball tabletop games. I've always wanted one, both when I was a kid and even today. I just find them so cool. There's just one issue. This one here is pretty huge and I just don't have anywhere I could put it. It has some wear on it, which is to be expected since it didn't come with the box. The seller was asking only $20, and it's a great deal since these things brand new are actually quite expensive. But I'm sure someone will buy it anyway, just not me. This is that same seller from a few months ago that had a shit ton of games in random bins for $1 each. I wonder if he has any more this time around. Well, would you look at that? Indeed he does. There's like 10 bins of miscellaneous stuff, including games, most of which are for the computer, so I may be here for a long time. He did also have some Ghost in the Shell anime DVDs, but they were volumes, and collecting volumes is more of a pain in the ass than it's really worth. Me personally, I'd much rather just buy the complete seasons, and probably spend much less in the process, to be honest with you.
Good titles in there.
Good titles in there. Yeah, maybe if they had fucking discs inside it and or weren't scratched up to hell. Good titles. Bite your hat. Normally at every flea market you have sellers like this that simply throw stuff in bins or boxes and make you search through it. Then, once you pull something out that you want, they throw out random prices. I think these people get their stuff from either a storage auction or estate auctions. I've maybe found 1 or 2 games from these sellers in the course of the past 4 years, so unless I see games as I'm walking by, I don't even bother wasting my time to sift through their junk. Oh wow, a Commodore 64? That's the first time I've ever even seen one of these in person. The seller wants $5 for it. I had stopped recording just so I can use both hands to open the box, which is in great shape, as you can tell. However, what was inside was not a Commodore 64. It was a Commodore VIC-20. I was so sad, because if this was the real thing, you better believe I would have bought it. Oh well, I can't be mad. The person didn't even know what the hell the thing was. I ended up going back to that dollar bin seller from earlier and picked up a few more things.
I bought there for only $1.
Isn't that cool? That's $5. That's really cool. Yeah,
I'll take it for 5.
Yeah, I know. It's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I bought
It's
this.
all glass in there. You know, it's really, nice. You got a good find. I made a mistake, but go ahead. $5. Yeah.
I bought there for Pops. And I says, Ian,
How's
where
he
are your
doing? How's
head?
he doing?
Still good. He's like 84. He's still whack.
4 big bags full of them. Yeah. I got a whole shitload of ornaments at home right now.
Wait a minute, an Atari Lynx game? Well, that certainly is random. I never see these except at game stores. Too bad I don't have the system, or I might have bought it.
System over there, PS2. In that box with games.
please excuse my camera work here. He was standing right next to me and I didn't want him to see that I was recording. Basically, he had a PS1 with a few controllers, memory cards, and about 10 games, which included the Tomb Raider trilogy, Spyro 3, some billiards game that I guess he loved when he was a kid. I'm assuming this is kind of like his personal collection when he was younger. He wanted $30 for everything, but I was able to convince him to sell me a couple games for $5. I think what did it is when he said that the console is going up in value due to its age, and I said that was actually the opposite. I'll explain the conversation in detail more towards the end of this video when I go over the games that I bought. This is that $5 reseller from earlier episodes, just kind of browsing what he has this time around, but nothing really standing out for me. That old boxing electronic game is pretty neat, but I don't really have that much of an interest in buying it. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot the PS4 game Infamous Second Son. When I saw this, I immediately thought, okay, well, I wonder what he's going to charge for it. I doubt it's $5. Anyway, let's see what he wants.
How much on this? 10. I'll do 10.
I don't really understand this. The older couple here is selling a bunch of empty alcohol bottles for either close to or far more expensive than what you can buy them for at the store, brand new with alcohol in them. Not that collecting bottles is weird or anything because my dad does it, but who's paying this much for empty bottles that have nothing special about them?
That's interesting. That's a Rico with all that shit on the back end. Are you sure about that?
Feel it.
Yeah.
I see.
Here's another one. These here I'd go 15 feet. It's got inlaid. I don't know if it's ivory. That's mother of pearl. I can see the collection.
How much for your sign?
On the sign?
Yeah.
$10.
$10 for the sign seemed like a decent price, although we were kind of confused because it was made out of tin, which screams reproduction, and I'm sure it was. But what's with the papery stuff on the back here? I couldn't figure out why it was there if it indeed was a reproduction. Anyway, that's it for the live footage, and now on to my pickups. Okay, so let's start off with all the stuff I got from the dollar bin person. I guess let's just get right onto it with Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. I have not watched the movie, however, I have played a demo of this on like a Jam Pack or a PlayStation Underground, whichever one of those two, and I did enjoy it. So when I see it for $1 complete in great condition, it's like, you know, you can't pass that up. And then we have the Godfather game. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is the same thing that's on the PS3 and the 360 that's labeled as the Dawn Edition. I hope it is, because I really, really like that game. Yes, this is obviously for an older system, but that's okay up until I find it for the PS3 or 360. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. If you're not sure what it is, it plays almost exactly like a Mafia 2 or a Grand Theft Auto, any of those kind of open world games where you can sit there and go on separate quests and do side missions, that sort of thing. I've said this many times. You guys know that I'm not big into open world games. I mean, 8 out of 10 of them I don't really enjoy, but the Godfather games that I really did get some enjoyment out of them. Then we got Cabela's Deer Hunt 2005 season. I've not played this. I've mostly played the ones that are like the Big Game Hunters and North Alaskan Adventures on the PS3. This one I have not, so I don't really know. Then we have Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I've not seen the movie. I've not played the game. I've heard both were pretty decent. Then I got something called Kokoto Fishing Master. the interesting thing, just before I was going to make this video, I had looked up the back of the box and I'm just trying to figure out what the hell it really even is, because it's like super cartoony graphics and it just looks kind of bizarre. And I found out that it was made in 2006 by a company called Conspiracy Entertainment. That's a big red flag. Now, why? If I'm correct, and I hope I am, this is the same company that made those bombs on the Wii. Like, just nothing but terrible, shitty game after terrible, shitty game after terrible, shitty game. And the examples would be like Ninja Breadman, Anubis 2, Mini Desktop Racing, just like dog shit games that got rated all like below a 3.5 out of 10. I'm hoping I'm correct, because I remember the name Conspiracy Entertainment. Rapella Pro Fishing. Now, in general, I've never played a pro fishing type game like this, so I don't really know if they're any fun or not. They don't look to be fun just based off the concept of just sitting around in a river or stream, whatever, and just waiting to get a fish. Although I did like the fishing in Dark Cloud 1 and 2, and if it's anything like that, then I may have some enjoyment. Okay. Then we got Wonder Book, Book of Spells. Now, yes, I've already picked this up previously. However, this is in much better condition. Yes, both the copies of this that I have are brand new and sealed. It's just the packaging's better on this. Now, what do I plan to do with the old one? Well, I would like to sit there and sell it on eBay eventually when I come across, for cheap, another PlayStation Eye camera and an extra wand thing. Just to make it sort of like a bundle, because I feel like if I bundle it like that, I'll get a lot more money than if I sat there and just parted it separate. I'm not quite sure. I'll just have to sit there and do a little eBay investigation on that. Then we have Star Wars Rebel Strike Rogue Squadron 3 Prima Guide. I think this is Prima. No, Nintendo Official Player's Guide. I picked this up just because I really, really like the game, and I'm not that great at it, to be honest. Like, the Rogue Squadron games in general, I'm just not really that great at, which is kind of shocking considering I play a lot of these kind of air combat type games, and I'm always pretty good at them. It's just for some reason Rogue Squadron I'm kind of shit at. Then we have Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Now, this isn't really a game guide. I was actually very confused by this, and that's part of the reason why I grabbed it. It's actually a Prima official game secrets book for the game Turok, which I guess has just a bunch of... Oh, it says on the back here, weapon versus enemy summaries, guess who wins, Turok tips, detailed walkthroughs, locations of every secret level, hints from the game developers on how to defeat the bosses. So I'm not quite sure what the difference between this and a regular guide is. Alright, so that's all the dollar stuff from that seller. Now I have the another seller that I got 2 games from. First of which was The Metal Dungeon by Zycat Interactive. I don't know the company, and the game I've seen being sold plenty of times at like disc replays back then. Never picked it up. It was always like $5 to $6. If this is just a RPG, I guess dungeon crawler type game, just based off the name. Then I got this really bizarre game. I think I said that in the live thing. But it's called Zoo Cube. And I bought it 99% because of the cover. It just made me laugh. With a little chimp down there. It's just funny looking. And I don't have a fucking clue what this even is. It's like match animal pairs on all 6 sides of the Zoo Cube to free the animals. Zoo Cube offers addictive, engaging, heart-racing 3D puzzle action. I don't know what it is. It just looks funny. Then we have a PS4 game, Infamous Second Son. It's about like $15 at GameStop, so I was like, okay, if it's not $10, then I'm gonna pass. Or $10 below, then I'm gonna pass. And it just so happened to be the price I wanted, and how can I complain? PlayStation games. I mentioned this in the video that there was a guy selling a bundle of PlayStation games with 2 controllers, memory card, and the actual system, and he was trying to get it all for $30. I had said, I'm not really interested in the system, I just was wanting a couple games or something. And he kind of wasn't wanting to budge because he thought that the only way he was going to sell anything is if he bundled it, and I was like, that's not necessarily true. And then we just started talking for about 5 to 10 minutes, and he had said, oh, well, I know that's a PlayStation, or I think that the PlayStation's going up in value since it's an older system. It's the first PlayStation. And I go, well, that's not exactly true, because the problem is with the original PlayStation is that the PS2, and I think every model of the PS3, I'm not quite sure, you don't quote me on that, but I know my Slim does, and I know that my Fat plays PS1 games, so there's almost zero reason why anyone would keep a PlayStation, the original, considering the newer ones are all backwards compatible. You know what I mean? And I told him that, and he's like, oh, I had no idea. So we just talked a little while, and then I popped a question, how much would you want for the 2 games, the Spyro Year of the Dragon and Tomb Raider 3 Adventures of Lara Croft? And he had thought, I don't know, what do you think? And I go, I don't know, $5? He's like, oh, sure. So I got 2, pretty decent games for $5, and one of which, this Black Label Spyro, I didn't realize until I got in the car, is actually pretty valuable. Not like super valuable, but like I think like over $25 to $35 in extremely good condition. And the only problem with this is that the front part of the jewel case is kind of damaged. It has that scratch here, that crack rather, and both of the clip parts that clip onto the jewel case, the spine thing, are broke. And that's no big deal because I have plenty of extra PS1 jewel cases to just swap that out with. So that's makes this almost mint condition. And that's a kind of a big deal for me, at least, if it's like an expensive game like that, Spyro or whatever. But that's it. This flea market trip was pretty good. Yeah, I didn't get anything super special, except for maybe like the Spyro, the Infamous, and Tomb Raider 3. You know what? I should have actually picked up all 3 Tomb Raiders and just said, would you take $10 for all this? Yeah, I have Tomb Raider 1 or 2, but it doesn't matter. If it's in better condition, I just sell the old one, or whatever the case may have been. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've been enjoying this live footage stuff.